Hello, I'm Johnny Karlic, and this is Ricky Widmer. We bring you the 8th wonder of the world.
His name is King Kong. He's a 50-foot ape from Skull Island.
Will he be epic? Stay tuned.
And we got to move on into our last topic, which is
King
Kong
Kong.
Skull Island. And the reason why we're talking about this is, of course, the movie comes out a week after Logan. I want to say that's
Yes.
March 10th? That
Something
movie
like
comes
that.
out. I think it's because we've got, in case you guys don't know, I'm letting you guys know this now. We've got 4 movies in March that we're not even going to go see. Well, we are going to go see. Not
yeah.
are we just going to go see them. We're going to review them for you guys.
We're going to let you know how they are.
We've got Logan on the 3rd. We've got Kong on the 10th.
10th or 11th,
We've got
something like that.
Beauty and the Beast on the 17th.
Yes.
And then we've got Power Rangers on the 24th.
Yep.
So we've got 4 movies. So in March, we're going to have like, what, 8? No, it's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 8 podcasts.
Yeah.
We're going to have. So it's going to be insane. We're going to have those review podcasts along with the normal ones. But for Kong, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is Johnny kind of brought it up. He's like, well, we should talk about Kong. And at first I'm like, there's nothing really to look at it. I mean,
There's not a lot to
we've
say.
seen everything. Everything's been kind of out there and it's kind of old at this point. And then I saw recently that February 14th, Calvin Chavez of Splash Report, which is kind of a film blog or a film website, he went and got to see an early screening. And the tweet that he shows, it's a picture of Kong's face with a little helicopter flying by.
Yeah.
And it says, Kong fans, make sure your butts stay in your seats for an awesome, awesome after credit scene from hashtag Kong Skull Island. It will not disappoint. So Johnny, I'm going to throw it to you like I always do. What do you think? The speculation is now in full effect. What do you think the after credit scene is?
See, this one's really hard to pick because we don't have the same Kong movies we had before.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly put, both the other two, the original and the one from 2005, are both set in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have this one set, what'd you say, the 1980s,
I think it's the
70s or 80s?
Mm-hmm.
So we can throw the storyline for a loop. I think with the post-credit scene, maybe...
Yeah, 1973.
Okay.
Is when it's so it's early 70s is when this has taken place.
So my idea would be that I don't know if we're going to get that Kong comes off the island right away, all in one movie, but something comes off the island that probably shouldn't have.
Okay.
Kind of like...
You're not giving me much to work with.
Yeah, it kind of like that.
Is it going to be Kong that comes off the island? Is it one of the...
For all we know, we get all these creatures now, and be that as it may, 2005, we had the same thing. All these different sized creatures, just blown bigger. Now, you've seen some of the previews, or I should say trailers. They're a lot different than they were before. They're not really like completely recognizable animals. You have this, what looked like a spider, but its legs are super tall, and then the body's still kind of small. You have this thing that looks kind of like a lizard, but it's too fast to see as of now. But we have all these animals, you can't 100% tell what they are anymore. And then you have Kong, just a super tall gorilla. So I think something small, maybe something someone found, stowed away and took away. Or maybe we'll get that. I don't think it's enough to make a movie of both parts of Kong coming off the island and the island itself. I don't think that's two movies.
Because you don't want it to be what I would be disappointed in, and I don't think it is because he said it won't disappoint, is if it's just Kong's off the island and it's now him here in the United States, basically in New York. I wouldn't be excited with that. The one thing that immediately got thrown into my head, but then I couldn't picture how we would get it to work, Godzilla. A Kong Godzilla movie. What if that was the case?
The only problem,
because they just rebooted Godzilla not too long ago.
They did reboot Godzilla, and I don't know.
I don't think that movie did very well. That was the one Bryan Cranston was in.
I didn't even see it, to be honest.
I don't think it did very well in the review category. But they recently did redo a Godzilla movie, which took place in 2014, I think, because it was a 2014 film. So it was one of those films that takes place in the era that it came out. And to me, I was like, well, okay, Godzilla and Kong, we could get that movie. But then I thought the reboot that they just did was 2014. This one takes place in the
1973.
70s. What happens in between? There's too much time. To me, I thought, and maybe I'll throw it over to you to kind of help me with this.
Yeah.
Is there too much time? Is there too much time in between? Or is it something where maybe they get off the island, Kong is there, and then Godzilla shows up?
The problem I have with that, there's a few little problems I have with that. For one, that's 40 year. That's about a 40-year gap.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit too much time to have Kong in New York and not either have killed him, gotten him under control, or somehow shipped him back.
Mm-hmm.
And then not to mention we have Godzilla. And the fact that Godzilla is probably close to the height of the Empire State Building, whereas Kong has to climb it because he's probably 30, 40 feet tall.
We could get Kong and Godzilla.
A distinct height disadvantage.
So there's always underdogs and stuff, Johnny.
Yeah, that's a bit of an underdog story right there.
But I mean, that's the first thing I thought of. And
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
We have had those Godzilla, King Kong.
There was a movie out, actually, I think that was Godzilla versus King Kong.
And the one that I'm looking at, this is from the 60s.
Yeah.
Godzilla was similar height to King Kong. Like, I'm looking at it right here. It says King Kong versus Godzilla. They're relatively the same height, but really it's what do you want to go off of, which source material you are. And for us, it would be Skull Island would be the King Kong that we are looking at. And for me, I mean, that was the one, like, that's the theory I had, that we have Godzilla, we have King Kong, because to me, I was thinking of what other story can they tell? Because if we look at post-credit scenes and nowadays, and Marvel's kind of not the inventor, but they're the
Made
ones
it popular.
they're the ones that perfected it.
Yeah.
Use the post-credit. Like, before when it was a post-credit, it was like when I saw the Power Rangers movie as a kid.
Yeah.
It was a scene at the end, reference to the movie that you had already watched, and it kind of made fun of something. Where
Yeah.
it kind of told an alternate story, an alternate ending, but boom, that was it. Marvel kind of reinvented that and said, we are going to take this post-credit scene and it is going to set up another movie in our timeline to get people excited for the future. And my big thing is, really, you got to think about what other story with King Kong could we set up? Because if you're thinking, okay, let's say my theory is right, they want to get to a King Kong Godzilla movie. How do you erase some of that time in between 2014 and the early 70s?
So that's a hard thing to do, though, because that's, again, like I said, a 40-year
Do you have
gap.
another movie where King Kong comes to America? This is the one where he does come back, and it's kind of like a modernized version of King Kong.
You know, I watched the 1930s film. I watched the 2005 film. I don't know if there's necessarily any King Kong ones out there besides this King Kong versus Godzilla, which...
60s.
60s. I don't recommend
early
it.
60s. The early 60s. Is it the same one I'm looking at? Where it's Godzilla and King Kong over a house and everyone is screaming?
No, I got a mountainside over here.
Okay.
Yeah,
The one
I
I'm
mean,
looking at is from the 60s. I know that.
I mean, even this one, there's a slight bit of a height advantage, but the size of Kong compared to the size of Godzilla, when you see the size of Godzilla in the 2014 movie, and you see the size of King Kong in this film, there's, again, this huge, distinct height disadvantage. Now, I can go along with your idea if it's not specifically King Kong, but another monster somehow makes it to New York. Or something like someone hid, like I said earlier, someone grabbed something off the island they shouldn't have kept with them. Kind of like this, hey,
Could be it.
you know what?
Like,
I'm not leaving the island empty-handed. I'm bringing this monster's egg or something, and I'm going to bring it to New York and make a bunch of money off of it.
Well, I could see that, but another thing, when I say it will not disappoint, I think two things. It's either action-packed
Yeah,
or it's going to create
another
a
story.
ton of hype.
Yes.
And Godzilla, King Kong, and to me, creates a ton of hype.
You know what? I'm going to lean towards the action-packed thing just because I can't think of a storyline for them to set up unless they are going to just kind of revamp the Godzilla thing once again.
They could. Like, this is a thing where, honestly, the Godzilla that we saw for that 2014 film, they could say, you know what, it has nothing to do with that Godzilla. We're going to have another reboot of Godzilla, and that's going to be the one that we use.
That's very
We're going to
true.
have a new Godzilla that we use for this.
And you know what? Here's the other thing. I didn't just thought about now with that, since you got my mind rolling on it.
That's what I like to do.
You know what?
Get the gears a turning. Get
The
'em
juices
wheeling.
flowing?
Yep, get the juices flowing.
Yeah, well, here's the thing
We
now.
got to get lost in the sauce. Up in
40-year
here.
gap. Okay, so that means Godzilla in 2004, if they wanted to tie it all together. I don't even know if this is the same company.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same movie company.
Just hit me with it.
Here's the thing. Godzilla, 40 years, gives him the time to grow from King Kong size to the size of a skyscraper. King Kong's supposed to die in the film. That's part of this movie. It could all be part of the movie. Or that could be a setup for the next one where he'll fight King Kong in that time frame. And then that's the fight and it goes away. And then you have your 2014 Godzilla that comes
movie.
back.
So you're saying it's like Kong dies, comes back, and boom.
No,
that's
I'm
the fight?
saying maybe at the end of it, it's a setup where Kong's alive. Maybe he's being brought to New York and then set up a Kong versus
Godzilla movie.
Godzilla. If that's the after credit scene, I'm still going to go with the idea that it's just more action packed than anything because it's hard to kind of set that up without completely taking away from the original storyline. I mean, it's already completely, or not completely, it's pretty different basing it from 1930s to 1970s. Another 40-year gap.
Another 40-year gap. But the one thing that I will
Conspiracy?
say is I was apparently kind of wrong. I originally thought that the Godzilla movie, when it came out in 2014, didn't do so well. It's got a 74 Rotten Tomato score. That's not bad.
I'm going to watch it. As soon as I can find a media that I can watch it, I'm going to do that.
The only thing, and if you haven't seen this Godzilla movie and don't want spoilers, kind of skip ahead a second or two. But when I think it was my cousins told me that apparently you go and you're like, oh, Bryan Cranston's going to be in it, and then he dies within the first part of the movie.
Good to
I know
know.
that you just said, hey, I'm going to go watch it.
Hey, you know what? I'm fine with that. At least
Spoil it.
I wasn't really that.
I am the one who knocks, and that's who he is. But the last thing I want to do, well, actually, you brought this up. You wanted to do it.
Yeah.
To kind of end this kind of King Kong, to kind of put a kibosh on the podcast. You wanted to kind of compare this to the 2005 film that I'll tell you, and I'll be honest to our fans. Johnny told me about this, and I was like, Johnny, I remember going to see the 2000 Kong movie. I remember Jack Black was in it. Other than that, it is a complete blank to me. Like, that movie did not stick into my mind at all. Didn't stick in my head. I saw it in high school, and it wasn't that memorable to me. I was like, what? You said, what, 2005 it came out?
It's 2005.
So we were 15
Yeah,
when it
we
came
were.
out. So to me, it was like, meh. But I wasn't anywhere as critical like a...
I think part of the problem for me is I played the
critic.
video game for it too.
You did?
I did.
But for you, what would you say? What are you looking at? Differences between the 05 film and this Kong Skull Island?
Well, looking at the trailers for one and just seeing the movie for the other, one thing is just the big difference in gap of years. 1930s, I don't remember specifically what year, compared to the 1970s, completely different type of like there's helicopters in one. We had biplanes in the other, at least in the really old film. Different type of vehicles altogether. From what I think I heard during this new one, it's something about they thought it was a radioactive testing site at one point in like the 1950s, 60s. So, I mean, a little bit different idea of why Kong came to be, whereas in the 1930s, it's just a mystery. Kong's just a giant ape from this mysterious island.
The eighth wonder of the world, King Kong. And he's just...
Dun, 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 dun. Well,
Don't they... In the original, they do have him chained up like this,
yeah,
right?
in that one, and
where his hands are up and...
yeah, no,
and
but,
then breaks
well,
away.
yeah, in both of them they do that. The 2005 and the 1930s one, because I mean, obviously
You want to show
can't-
how tall he is.
Yeah, you want to show how big he is. You can't really just leave his arms to move
You
about.
can't go all willy-nilly like
No,
this.
because hell, he'll tear apart whatever he wants to.
He'll grab somebody. He
That
does.
too.
He grabs
the woman and
grabs
brings her to the top of the tower.
top of the Empire State Building.
Exactly. So the thing with that is, I mean, you got this idea. I remember them talking about it. It was a testing site, which is why you have in the 2000.
You're talking about Skull Island.
Skull Island, yeah, that's what they're saying in this new one. At least I've
We've
heard it
got-
in the trailer.
And we have Samuel L. Jackson, who from the trailer looks like he is part of the military in some way.
Yeah, so we didn't really have a lot of military standing in either of the other two until New York, where they're trying to take out Kong. It's an expedition. Now this one is also still an expedition, but now in the night, we didn't really have a lot of monsters in the 1930s one, from what I can remember. But in the 2005 one, all we had really was they took animals and enlarged them. We had dinosaurs back. There were a few T-Rexes in there. Now this new one I was looking at, we have quite a few monsters that aren't 100% recognizable. You have something that looks like a giant lizard, but I can't tell what it's 100% based off of. Besides that, you have this thing that looks like a giant spider, maybe like 8 to 10 feet off of the ground, but still has a body maybe only 3 to 4 feet in size. Not comparable to what you would think of a monster from Skull Island, but that it's more of a radioactively changed monster, which is kind of a cool concept now that we have a little bit different play on the story of King Kong instead of remaking it once again.
You know, it's one thing that I just pulled up. There is an article right now on this is what website? sci-fi.com. This was 7 hours ago as we are recording this. So take it as you may. Do you want to know what the headline reads?
Yeah, read it.
Confirmed Godzilla 2 King of the Monsters teaser attached to Kong Skull Island.
Well, that's a pretty cool concept.
So what I'm thinking now, as I'm starting to read the article, this is going back a little bit, so I didn't mean to jump back.
No, we're good.
Top
We
of
can,
this. This is one of the things where, here's what it says. A new development concerning the Kong Skull Island post-credit scene has subtly confirmed our initial report, where we speculated that the footage teased at the end of Skull Island will in fact be a lead-in for Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters. So that's something where it's like, it's not like, what if the post-credit scene isn't a lead-in for another Kong movie?
Maybe.
What if it's just a Godzilla 2? It's
maybe
another
Godzilla
movie.
hatches.
Wait, ooh.
I just blew your mind, didn't I?
Well, at first...
I love when I can do this to him.
At first I went, like, I took back, so I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, wait, but the movie already, oh my God, it was 2014. So, like, it was one of those things where I had to think back to, oh my God, what if that's it? What if they leave the island with King Kong?
Have the old storyline and then...
No, they can't.
No, they can. Because
King Kong's dead. He's dead by 20. Oh my God.
we don't need him.
Oh my God.
Just go with the old storyline with King Kong, but after credit scene, just have him hatch out of his egg.
So we bring King Kong back from Skull Island to be the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah, and then just flash back to the island and egg hatches or whatever, showing
oh my God,
how Godzilla comes to fruition. I think I broke Ricky.
I can't, like... It's one of those things where...
And if this is the actual scene, please, I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, it's one of those things where we don't know what it is.
Oh, I know. I'm
We
joking.
haven't seen it. And it's one of those things where... Here's the thought I'm having right now. And you kind of just sparked me right back into the discussion.
You're welcome.
It's one of those things where if we cut back to him hatching out of the egg, he's obviously got to grow.
Yeah.
By the time he gets to the 2014, does that mean Kong's just gone and Kong's dead?
Kong's been dead since whenever the movie ends, if they're going to stay with the storyline.
True. So he dies at the end of the movie is what you're saying.
If we're going to stick with the storyline. They don't have to necessarily do that, but if they're going to stick with the storyline, he dies at the end of the movie.
And it sets up Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, which could probably be a precursor, a prequel to God's... Oh, my God. That blew my mind.
You're welcome.
My mind. I had a feeling it had something to do with Godzilla. I don't know. I hope it's awesome. I hope it's one of those things where it's awesome and I'm like, you know what? I am just dying to see the movie that it sets up. But any last thoughts that you have on King Kong in general, or Kong Skull Island?
No, I think we hit everything pretty well. I'm actually pretty excited that I blew your mind. I broke Ricky.
me.
You get to see on this YouTube podcast. I broke Ricky.
Holy crap.
Only on the second airing.
Wow, I totally didn't expect that, and it was wow. But yeah, this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below what you guys think, and also if you stuck around this long on Blog Talk Radio, thank you for listening to us on Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you very much.
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. You're at War Machine
9085.
See, I got it right. 9085. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Also, if you liked what you saw or listened to today, make sure to check us out, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. We want to make these videos, these podcasts better for you, the listener and the viewer. That's a way for you guys to help other than hitting that like and subscribe button. I want to thank you guys for watching and listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you everyone for watching the Rick and Johnny podcast. Click right here to watch another squanchy video, and let's get rickety wrecked!